I think sometimes we're just so unrealistic about the number of goals that we can actually hit. We want to be healthy, we want to have a nice body, we want to lose weight, we want to maintain good relationships with everyone around us, we want to earn a high salary, like earning a lot of money, we want to have high social status, we want to have good mental health, and this list just go on and on and on. It never stops. But don't you think that it's a little bit too much on ourselves? I mean, those goals are reasonable, okay? They are desirable. Everyone wants to have those factors fulfilled in our lives, but we have to also consider at the same time our capacity and our energy, because we cannot always be in such a good state of energy and emotional well-being in order to do all these things all together. And when we are having such high expectations on ourselves, we are at risk of facing a lot of mental problems. You know it, right? Because when you want to do something but then you fail at it, you've become more disappointed at yourself. And that's just one goal. Just imagine you have like 10 goals, but then you fail at them all. And how would you feel? So I would say that just aim at one thing or two things maximum. Just one thing maybe. And then do it well. You can start with something really small, like waking up earlier, like 30 minutes earlier the next morning, and maybe trying to drink more water. I think it's best if you start everything with your health and your body at first, because when you're in a good state physically, then you can have enough energy to do something else. Lower the bars a little bit and have lower expectations on yourself. You have received enough pressure and expectations from society. You don't want to give the same thing to yourself anymore, right? I have heard so many people saying that if you want to improve yourself, you need to like visualize an ideal life that you want to have, an ideal version of you that you can become. But it's a little bit tricky for some people, because many of us don't even know who we want to become, and many of us still have no idea what kind of life we want to have in the future. And how can we improve ourselves? So I'm gonna tell you this one way, which is really like contradictory to what you have heard before, but it's probably going to help you in a more practical way. So instead of imagining a dream life, I would advise you to visualize a life that you would want to stay the hell away from. And this is what I heard from Professor Jordan Peterson, and it's so helpful, really. Because people can have like vague ideas about what they want, but they have really clear ideas about what they are afraid of, what they are scared of. And your fear is not something scary, it's like a warning sign for you to take actions. So just list out whatever you least want to have in your life and then act from it. So, I will take myself as an example, okay? I am afraid of being ignorant, so every day I try to read books, maybe just a few pages, but I try every day to like enrich my knowledge gradually. I'm afraid of a lack of freedom in my life, so I try to work. I try to like gain financial stability so that I can be financially independent. I try to work with my mental health also, because when you are controlled by your negative emotions, when you are controlled by your ego, you are losing freedom. And I also have this fear of being useless. So every day I try to do something meaningful. I try to do something useful to myself and to the people around me and to the community, to the society that I'm living in, maybe in a really small way. But you see that, right? Like if you have these fears, they can like fuel you, they can motivate you to change your life, because deep down you don't want to stay in the same situation that you are now in the next 5 years. It's going to be a really ugly scenario, right? So yes, again, instead of dreaming an ideal life, visualize a life that you want to stay away from and start taking actions, even the smallest ones. You do not need to know the reasons for everything that you're doing. If you only wait for a convincing reason to come to you and then you will start doing something, then probably you will never do anything for your life. Because our mind is always conditioned, we only want to do something when we know that there is this kind of insured prospects or ensured success in the future. But like I say, you will never know whether this is going to work or not unless you try. Right now I'm doing this, I'm posting these random videos on TikTok, and of course I have no idea if they are going to mean anything for me or not. Like, I don't even have the slightest idea of how this can possibly benefit my future and my career and everything, but I just want to do it. I just want to say these things, I just want to send these messages to everyone, so that's why I do it. So I think the most important thing is you need to listen to your heart and listen to your internal desire. That's what can motivate you to take actions. You cannot listen to your rational mind, you cannot listen to your brain, because your brain only assess things based on what you can see in the present moment. But your heart is like your intuition, it's going to tell you what you should do right now. That can make you feel at peace, that can make you feel comfortable, and that can bring some kinds of meaning and purpose into your life. So just listen to it. Maybe it's not gonna work out, but you will learn a lot along the way. That's how you can grow as a person, as a human being on this earth. I know it's important to keep going no matter what happens in the pursuit of your dream, but sometimes it's very important to know where to stop. Like, many of you know me as an artist. Most of my followers here on TikTok knew me from my TikTok videos about my art, about my paintings before. I used to post only videos about my art here, but things changed. There was a point where I realized that my energy is literally being killed by this dream of becoming an artist. I was feeling so exhausted and so de-energized. I was putting so much pressure and crazy expectations on myself. I mean, I love painting, I love making arts, but probably the problem with me was that I took the wrong approach. I was so obsessed with the end point. I was so obsessed with the idea that I need to become a successful artist. I need to be able to do this, to do that, to do all these big things. But I forgot to enjoy the moment. I forgot to care about myself, care about my energy. I really burned all of my energy during the process of pursuing this dream. So that's why I realized that I really cannot keep going anymore. I need to stop. I need to stop to protect my mental health. So that's why I stopped, and I haven't made any artwork in a few months, and of course I haven't posted any videos related to art on TikTok here for a few months. And although I was feeling really sorry for my followers that they expected something but I cannot give them anymore. And about myself, did I feel terrible for stopping? Of course I did. There was this certain period of time when I woke up every day and felt horrible. I felt like I wasted so much time pursuing something that does not work. I beat myself up and I regretted so many things that could have been done better. But right now, if you ask me, do I still feel terrible about this? I would say no. I think it's the right decision and I did not regret at all. I did the right thing for my, my well-being, my mental health. It was a necessary move. I moved out from something that was so toxic and that was killing my soul. For me, it's not being coward, it's bravery, it's courage. And you should be brave enough to do the same thing for yourself too. I do not think that people understand how important small changes are. We always aim at big things, we always aim at big dreams and big ambitions. But the thing is, the idea of pursuing these big goals can be really overwhelming and so intimidating for so many people that they freeze and they do not do anything. But small changes, gosh, let me tell you, small changes are life-changing. Even though they are small, their impacts can be huge. For example, just a few weeks ago, I was in a really bad shape. I couldn't even get myself out of bed. I couldn't find a reason to get up every day, and I was just tortured by this constant feeling of fatigue and frustration and disappointment and all these negative emotions. So I made a small decision, that is, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to get up a little bit earlier every single day, and that's the promise that I made to myself. And my life gets so much better after that, and I realized that wow, just doing this little thing every day can actually give you the motivation, can actually inspire you to take more actions. But you have to start from something first. And I think it's a good idea to start from something manageable, like something small, something you can easily do. That's when you can gain confidence. And when you have confidence and trust in yourself again, then you can do bigger things. I always talk about the importance of getting better every single day, and it's really something crucial. The biggest goal, the most meaningful goal that everyone can have is to try to become a little bit better than who they were yesterday. No matter who you were yesterday, today you have to do something that can help you improve. It could be anything, really. So if you are in a really dark place in your life right now, just trust me that you can get back on your feet and you can keep going, you can move on. Maybe the best idea for you today is to make your bed or to clean your room. Sometimes I think that we have crazily high expectations to ourselves and to our life that we neglect the small things. And ironically, these small things are the most important elements that make up our lives, but we neglect them, we belittle them, and we only focus on the big things. Like me, myself, I am always obsessed about trying to figure out the meaning of my life and the purpose of my life, the direction that I should follow, the destination that I want to reach in my life. But I tend to give little care to what is present right now in front of me. But today I think that if this is crazy, but if I was about to die, then maybe the most important and the most beautiful part of my life is preparing the meal for my family, taking a bath, singing a song, listening to a piece of music that I like. Those are more important than trying to figure out the big meaning or the big mission that I have for my life. We will never know when it is our ending point. So maybe it's a wiser option to really show care and focus, concentration, dedication towards the smallest activities, the simplest acts on a daily basis. So yes, I think that's the lesson that I just recognized today and I want to share it with you. Hope you have a great day. Bye bye. Today I learned that we are truly, fully responsible for our lives, and that whether we are miserable or happy just depends on the decisions that we make. So basically, you can decide whether you want to keep complaining and whining and asking why is this happening to me, or you can really focus on what is going right now. And you know what? The number of things, the number of situations are going well in your life can completely outnumber those that are going wrong. You can just take a piece of paper and note down all the problems you are having and all the things that are basically blessings in your life right now, the things that you are enjoying, the things that you are given every single day, but you are taking them for granted. Just count and see the contrast between the number of these two things. So no matter what problem you are having right now, you always have the right, you always have the freedom and the responsibility to choose your reaction. For example, when you're sick, maybe you are having a flu and your nose cannot breathe properly, and then if you just focus on the problem you're having, then maybe you're going to feel really bad about your health, about your body. Yes, maybe your nose is a little bit stuffy and a little bit hard to breathe right now, but think about your whole body as a whole entity. You see how many parts are working so well for you. Your heart is still beating, your digestive system is still working so well, and your brain is helping you think and helping you function as a human being. And you can make a decision to feel grateful and happy, or to feel miserable and disappointed at everything and everyone. Which one is more favorable? Which one is more desirable to you? You can just make a choice, make a decision, and make it part of your life. You have the right to live the way you want. Do not give that power to someone else. Do not give that power to the external circumstances around you. Do not give that power to anything, even your emotions. You must take control of your life. You really need to appreciate yourself more. I know that you have internalized other people's voices, The voices that always say that you are not enough, you are unworthy, you are not talented, and you are nothing. But I will tell you that you are something, and you are the only one who can discover that hidden beauty, that hidden talent, that hidden potential inside you. All the people do not know anything about you. Even your parents, even your close friends, no one can know about you because they were not able to fulfill their dreams, because they were not successful in their endeavors. So they are going to make you feel just the same way. They are going to put you down at the same place as them. But do not let those voices affect you. You need to build that kind of protective bubbles around you to protect yourself and to be really steadfast and certain and determined in the path of finding your true powers. Many people live their entire lives without knowing who they really are, without knowing who they can really be, which is really sad, and you don't want to be one of those people. So when you have some ideas, try to work on them, try to take actions towards them. Don't let your ideas remain fantasies. Do something practical about it and see how it goes. You can fail, but it's okay. You learn one side of you that you didn't discover before, and maybe it's going to help you in the future. You can never know. So just keep going and just keep discovering new parts inside you, and don't care that much about other people's opinions. They don't matter. I think many of us have this kind of misconception about the definition of happiness, because many of us think that happiness comes from, that kind of present pleasure that you have from some activities, that instantaneous feeling of satisfaction and contentment, or the feeling of achievement, the feeling of fulfillment, the feeling of accomplishing something important. But the problem with those feelings are that they are really fleeting. They last for a really short time. So for example, when you are really hungry and you are given a really good meal, you feel good when you're eating that meal, right? But you become hungry soon after a few hours. And for example, if you have achieved something big, you have completed a big phase in your life, such as when you graduate from high school or when you graduate from university, yes, you can experience that sense of achievement and that sense of satisfaction, and it brings you positive feelings, that's for sure. But just a few days after your graduation, you will face a different set of problems. A lot of new challenges and a lot of new obstacles will come to you. Now you will have to confront with the difficulty of, adapting yourself to the new environment, the new educational environment in universities, or you will have to learn how to, apply for a job and just find a way in this giant job market. So you see, we cannot depend our happiness on external factors. And I have listened to this really nice and thought-provoking idea from Jordan Peterson, and basically he said that no happiness is created in the absence of responsibility. So the truest feeling of happiness comes from the fact that you decide to handle great responsibility in your life for your own self and for the benefits, for the perks of other people. When you decide to do something meaningful, when you decide to take on new challenges and to expand yourself and to develop yourself and to bring something good into the world that you are living in, that's when you can experience a long-lasting feeling of happiness. Because happiness, in that case, comes from meanings. And meanings are the only things that can sustain you in the long run, not instant satisfaction. If you are in your 20s and you don't know where the hell you're going, you get up every day feeling completely confused about your future path or what kind of values you can contribute to the world, then let me tell you one thing, that it is completely okay to feel that way. And actually, I think those are the most natural feelings that you can have in your 20s. There is only a tiny percentage of people who are born with a clear purpose. Most of us will have to go out and, throw ourselves into the unknown to finally find out what we love to do, develop a great passion for it, and then see it gradually wither and finally lose our spark. And we will have to repeat the same cycle again and again. Just know that uncertainty, instability, and insecurity are all the preconditions for the firm foundation on which we can build our future. Without these nagging feelings of curiosity towards the hidden potential and the dissatisfaction towards our current situation, we will never move forward. So if you are feeling unsure about your future right now, maybe it's time for you to try different things. You can fail miserably, but hey, who cares? You gain new knowledge and experience, right? You add something valuable to your luggage for the future. And finally, and most importantly, you become a little bit more courageous, and that's all that matters. Always remember that the main point of your 20s is not to settle down and enjoy predictable days, but to continuously learn and change and reshape your life. That's your real goal. This is one of the most hard-earned lessons that I have learned in the past few years of my early 20s that I want to share with you. When you are about to embark on a new journey or try to actualize your dreams, do not have high expectations. Do not, visualize all the desirable outcomes such as how successful you can get, how much money you can make, or how much love and admiration you are going to receive. In fact, I would tell you to expect nothing and to presume that you are going to do terribly and fail. I am telling you this because I was falling into the trap of over expectation myself too. Whenever I decided to do something new or follow my internal desires, I always had this illusional certainty about the so-called meant to be success that I will get if I devoted, enough, a sufficient level of effort. I know you have heard about the law of attraction and how you need to convince yourself that everything is going to work out perfectly well, and I used to be a huge believer of that too, until life hits me with its inherent nature of unpredictability. The things that I cling to, the things that I thought to be, the torch leading me to my future, the things that I spent days and months and years following, turned out to be my biggest failure. I was literally knocked down to the ground afterwards and had to spend months recovering from the shock. The aftermath of that failure was too much for me to handle because I always had crazily high expectations. I was just too confident and naive to believe that I will certainly succeed if I try hard enough. The chance that you do something new and become successful at it is really low, if not impossible. And even when you have worked diligently for years, you can still fail in the end. You should always remember that and, just unload the pressure you are forcing on yourself about future success. A healthier and wiser approach would be to focus on the experience and the lessons, not the final result. Try as hard as you can, yes, but avoid being attached and take everything lightly. It would be the only sustainable way for you to follow your dreams. You do not get stressed out because of action, but inaction. If you are feeling down and lost and depressed right now, just try to look at your current state. What are you doing? Are you spending the entire day being at home, sitting on a sofa, watching endless episodes of TV series, and then crying about how miserable your life is? Are you avoiding the things that will actually help you create the life that you want? Are you moving in any possible direction, or are you stuck at a standstill, bordered by fears and self-limiting beliefs? I know it's hard to take the initiative and start doing something when you have fallen into this depressive mode. You may think that nothing makes any sense, and no matter what you do, it cannot create any difference, so what's the point of trying anyway? I know how heart-wrenching and soul-crushing it is to lose faith in yourself and your own existence. But I just want to tell you that even when you are in the darkest place of your life ever, there's still something that you can do to make it less bad. Unless you want to stay in this crippling stage forever, which is fundamentally undesirable and unfavorable to all of us, then the only way out is to choose one piece from your shadow life and start to rectify it. Take actions to ameliorate just one aspect of your life, and it could be anything. It could be your health, it could be the relationship that you have with one single person, it could be your room. Clean your room, call someone, go out for a walk, learn something that you have always wanted to learn. Again, I know it's paralyzing and intimidating, but you are so much more capable and powerful than you think. And once you have taken one step, you can take 2 steps and then 3 steps. They could be tiny little acts, but at least you are moving towards somewhere else instead of staying in a hellish place from which your soul is literally yelling at you to escape. Are you pursuing your dream in the right way? This can sound like a preposterous question because when we are pursuing a dream, we often automatically assume what we are doing is right and that there is a certain level of nobility in our endeavor itself already. So there is nothing wrong about pursuing a dream. But the problematic aspect that I am referring to here is not the process of realizing your desires, but the mindset you are carrying while doing so. If you have a toxic perspective, no matter how hard you try, the journey will become more like a mental torture when it could have been so pleasurable and even enlightening. So, what is a toxic perspective? For me, it involves the propensity towards attachment and obsession. It creates desperation for success and relentlessness of pressure. So instead of accepting who you are and all the diverse future versions that you can become, you literally drill a certain identity into your own being and then tyrannically scream at yourself. You have to be a writer, you have to be an artist, you have to be somebody else. If you want to sustainably cultivate your dream, you have to look at it in a different way. First of all, there is no final destination. See dream actualization as an endless path along which you collect pieces of who you can be so that you can, avoid falling into that stage of desperately waiting for the results, waiting for the outcomes. Secondly, you need to break free from the prison of self-identification. A person can pick up and live with various identities throughout his life, so the person you want to become right now is not the only version of you. So be open-minded and look at the broader picture, and then you will never be constrained by any limitations or attached to your desires. Lastly, and most importantly, do not become paralyzed by the possibility of failure. The ability to willfully accept failures will eradicate the feelings of resentment and bitterness that often preclude people from standing up again, or at least weaken them to a point where they cannot control you anymore. When you want to pursue a dream, start with the right mindset. I think I have lived a really strange life. Throughout the 25 years that I existed on this earth, I have always been looking for the answers of 2 questions: who am I and what am I here for? The good news is I have found quite a lot of answers, and the bad news is I have found quite a lot of answers. My search for an ultimate identity has led me to so many possibilities. There was a time when I was determined to become a writer and create my own story, and then a few years later I pursued the dream of becoming a YouTuber sharing tips on how to learn English. And then I spent 4 years being fixated on the idea of turning myself into a successful artist. The path did not just end there, since now there is another journey that I embark on, and who knows where it's going to lead me to. I am thankful beyond words for all the experiences that I was privileged enough to amass in this seemingly never-ending journey. But honestly, it's so exhausting at the same time. I always feel like I had gone through a spiral with repetitive death and rebirth, but somehow I didn't stop, no matter how miserable I was after each failure. Now thinking back about it, my biggest strength does not lie in my talent or my skills or my intellectual ability, but in my perseverance, my faith, and a little bit of stubbornness. Now I don't try to find a definite identity to stick to for the rest of my life anymore. After everything that I have witnessed and experienced, it just no longer matters. Now I want to be an identity collector. I want to see how many identities I can have in this lifetime. A writer, an artist, a teacher, a storyteller. What's more, I am curious to see what's coming. I am ready to start, to fail, and to restart. If you are also trying to find who you are and why you are here, just go with the flow of life, listen and act on your intuitive ideas, and welcome everything that comes to you with open arms. And then you will find the answer. If you have just gotten out of a difficult time, do not aim very high. Whenever I crawled out from a mess, I always had this habit of establishing a master plan to change my life and make a paradigm shift. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to, for the shortest period of time, get out of this rut and, become a joyful and productive person again. So I would sit down and sketch out some big bullet points, such as how to improve my health, how to be more knowledgeable, how to build new relationships. And from these bullet points, I would create like a map of actions that I needed to follow in order to holistically ameliorate all the problems in my life. As positive as this might seem, I didn't realize that I was biting off more than I could chew. With a theoretically noble purpose of rectifying my life, I dismissed all the pains that I had gone through and deprived myself of the time to reflect on what happened. That's why I couldn't maintain this self-developmental mindset for long, and soon enough I stopped halfway and again fell into the hole of disappointment and resentment, mostly at myself. When we are in a really weak stage, emotionally, mentally, or physically, it is not a really wise choice to put ourselves on a pedestal. Instead, we should be hyper-focused on just one single aspect of our life. For example, it can be a pretty nice idea to start with your body. Try to become healthier and physically stronger with just one single habit. That's all. You don't need to care about all the domains just yet. I think the magical thing about incremental changes is that they can multiply themselves naturally. So if you decide to sleep earlier, the chances are you will also adopt other habits such as exercising or, having breakfast. When you have rebuilt that confidence in yourself in one area of your life, other aspects will later be improved very easily. But if you overwhelm yourself with too many tasks from the very beginning, you'll be likely to give up out of frustration. Always remember that you have to consider the conditions of your mentality and take it easy on yourself. Give yourself time to improve, yes, but also to heal and to absorb the lessons. In a nutshell, remember that